Hi, and welcome to this PowerShell quick tip video. In this quick tip video, we're going to be taking a look at how to make a very simple pop-up window without using Visual Studio or using PowerShell to code a actual GUI window. This is going to be something that we can actually use that's pre-built. It is very limiting, so the only options that we can really do are limited, like an OK button, cancel button, abort, retry, ignore, yes, no. And we have a few icons that we can put in there, but these are extremely useful if you want to get confirmation from the user for different things in your script that's about to happen, to just make it a little bit more interactive, a little bit more visible than just something in a console application. It is quite simple, so let's go ahead and let's start and see how we can make these pop-ups happen. So the first thing that we actually need to do is create a new object here, which is going to be our shell object. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to create a variable called shell, and we are going to make that equal to a new object. And we are going to make that pass a parameter of a com object, and we are going to pass the w script dot shell. And then what we're going to do is just to test out our little pop-up here, let's go ahead and let's reference our shell variable and do a dot pop-up. And let's just go ahead and put some text in here. So this is a test pop-up. And let's close our parentheses here. And if we actually go ahead and run this code, we will see that we do get a pop-up with our string that we wrote and just a simple OK button. And if we click on OK, we get the value of 1 back. So what we can actually do is we can actually customize this quite a bit. So if we actually just run this again, just to take another look at it, we can see that also the title is Windows Script Host. We can actually modify this as well, and we can actually modify the icon that appears beside the text. Right now there isn't any, but we can actually add that. And we can also change these buttons as well. So let's go ahead and let's see how that'll look. So what we first need to do is in the pop-up method here, in the call, if we add a comma and then put a amount of time here, if we go ahead and we just run this and we just go ahead and wait, it auto closes. And as you can see, now the value is -1. Now this 10 is 10 seconds, so it will auto close in 10 seconds. So any numerical value that you put in here, the window will close after that amount of time. Maybe that's something that you might want in your script. In my cases, I usually have this set to 0, and it will not close until the user actions that pop-up. So then what we will do is we'll add another comma here, and this will let us set the title of our window here. So if we actually just put in pop-up title, and we can actually run that once again, we will actually see that we have a pop-up title, we have our text here, and we have our button. And now for the buttons and the icons, is all we need to do is add another comma here, and we can actually start putting things in. So if we actually just put the value of 1 here, we will see that we get the OK and cancel button. So right away, we have some differences. Now, if you just wanted the OK button and you wanted to hard code it, that is just 0. 0 is the default value. And we just have OK. So the different options here that we actually have for the different buttons is going to be the 0, the 1 that we've already seen. We also have 2 here, which is going to give us the abort, retry, and ignore. So maybe this is going to be something you have in like a little loop. If an error pops up, maybe you want to ignore the issue. Maybe you want to retry that specific item, or you just want to quit out of the entire script altogether. You would be able to click abort and just code those buttons accordingly. And if we hit one of these buttons, like let's say we hit the abort button, we actually have the value of 3. So each of the different buttons have different values, and you can easily find them out just by clicking on them and seeing what the output is. I will put a whole like matrix of the different buttons inside the description and the value for them as well. So just be aware that you can find them out yourself, but they are in the description down below. And now let's say we wanted to add one of those icons here. Like let's say we wanted to add the question icon. All we need to do is a plus and then 32. And this will give us the question icon. So if we actually run this here, we will actually see that now we have a question icon here. We still have our pop-up title, we have our text, and we have the ability to still click the buttons. Now, if we wanted a stop icon, we could put 16 in here, and we will get the little X here, and that will be that. So there are a lot of different combinations that you can put in here to get the different values, and how I actually like to use these. So let's do an example here with the yes, no, and cancel. So let's put 3. And then because it's a question I'm going to be asking, let's put the question icon. And let's say for the text is, do you want to quit the game? All right, and put question mark here and quit question mark will be the title. So if we go ahead, we just run this real quick, we will see that we do have, do you want to quit the game? Yes, no, cancel. So if we hit yes, we know that that's 6. So what I would do again is I would go ahead and run that again. No is 7. And cancel is 2. Perfect. So we have the values of our buttons now. So what I would go ahead and do here is I would do a switch statement. And actually first, before a switch statement, let's assign this to a variable called answer. So we'll get the assignment. So whatever the user picks will be assigned to the answer variable. And let's switch on the answer variable here. And let's say 2. We can go ahead and we can put that in there, and we can say, right. Now this might not be exactly a real life example that we're just outputting exactly what they pressed, but you pressed cancel. And then let's say 6 here. We can do a write output of you pressed, I believe it was yes. And then 7 will be write output you pressed no. And what I always like to do in switch statements, which is always a good practice, is just put a default here. And let's do a write output you pressed something. All right, so if we actually go ahead and we run this now, and we hit yes, we will see that we get you pressed yes. If we run it again, and we hit cancel, we get you pressed cancel. Now if we run that again, and let's hit the little X, it says that you pressed cancel. So the X and the cancel are equivalent. It won't be you pressed something else. But let's say we had a time limit here. And we have our window open. Now it's going to say you pressed something else because the time ran out. Now, of course, what we can actually do is do another case for that and say, write output, you let the window time out. Now, all these different write outputs that I'm doing would be extra code that you would put in to do the certain action that you would want to take if someone presses that button. So in this case, you would go ahead and if they pressed yes, you would just cancel out of the script, nothing would happen. If they pressed no, maybe you would go and bring them back to the beginning of the script. Maybe it's a console application or something, or maybe it's a tic-tac-toe game or roll the dice game of some sort. This is just a very, very easy way to make those GUI feel with the pop-up boxes, but without doing all the work of creating and bringing those up, loading that SAML file, or creating it all in PowerShell, as you've seen in my other tutorials for GUIs. This is just a slightly easier version, but can be very useful on the situation. If you guys have any comments or questions for me on this video or anything else PowerShell or programming related, please let me know in the comment section down below. Also, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, also hit that notification bell to be notified when that next video comes out, and I will see you guys on the next video.